Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Special Olympics Nebraska Champions Together Luncheon. I am John Vanderford with my wife, Taryn Vanderford here, and we are anchors, reporters, and producers for KOLN, KGIN TV, 1011 in Lincoln. We work for, of course, the station. We do a program called Pure Nebraska. It airs every morning at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I know you guys probably aren't there all the time, but maybe DVR it if you want to. That would be great. We do First at 4. Taryn's doing a lot of First at 4 now, and we do Moms Every Day, which Taryn does a lot of as well. So we enjoy working for the community, and we would like to start off with a special thank you to our generous sponsor, U-Stop, for their support for today's event. Maybe a round of applause.
I would also like to recognize current and past board members from Special Olympics Nebraska. So if you would all please stand. Thank you so much for your leadership. We would also like to thank our table captains. Without their efforts, you wouldn't be here today. So please stand and be recognized. Also, a special welcome to those of you who have been through a Reveal the Champion tour. For those of you who want to learn more about Special Olympics Nebraska, we invite you to attend the upcoming Reveal the Champion tour.
Well, for anyone receiving a medal, it can be a very special thing. Medals can be something major, like medaling in the Olympics, but really any medal can be a certificate or even an acknowledgement of a job well done, and that is a medal. And we just wanted to briefly tell you a couple of medal moments for us, starting with our 10-year-old Olivia. She's a first-year member of what's known as the Pick a Pig program in 4-H. She loves pigs. And this club kind of gives kids in Lincoln a chance to get out to the farm and experience farm life. And so we went to the Lancaster County Fair. The fair experience was chaotic, educational, a lot of hard work, a lot of fun. Imagine trying to wrangle a 275-pound hog in the Lancaster County Fair area. I'm sure a lot of you would have had that experience. The best experience for me is that I was in this wash rack area the morning of. We have to get the pig ready to go for the show, and I'm putting VO5 conditioner on the pig to shine up the hair, you know, and everything. And so I'll always remember that. Then Olivia went out into the ring. She maneuvered her pig, Maybell, and she confidently smiled at the judge, and she earned 2 purple ribbons. And so that was a neat medal moment for her, but for us as well.
And we have another highlight that was kind of a personal moment for us. We won an Emmy Award this year. So this Emmy was for the coverage of the Pilger tornadoes. If you remember, Pilger was devastated by the tornadoes in June of 2014. And my mom is from Pilger. And so the high school where my mom went and the church where my parents were married, destroyed. And so we went up there and did our show, First at 4, live from Pilger. Almost didn't air because we had some technical difficulties that day. And so for us to win this was pretty memorable. We went out to Denver this year and won it out there in July. So, you know, whether your memory is something like winning a ribbon for a fair or winning an award in an achievement in your field, your career, or even the Olympics, all medals are very memorable.
Now join me as we welcome champions of the Special Olympics Nebraska movement with our athletes that represented USA in the Special Olympics World Games this past July, as well as the 2015 Athlete Leadership graduates.
Great. Nice to see all of you. At this time, I would like to introduce Alyssa Ross, a Special Olympics Nebraska athlete and global messenger who will sing the national anthem and begin our program. So we ask you to please rise.
Please rise. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Before each event, athletes repeat the Special Olympic oath. Athletes and guests, please repeat after me. Let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt.
Okay, thank you, Alyssa. You guys could be seated now. And while you are eating, as we enjoy the meal here today, notice the photos of our champion athletes as well as some facts about Special Olympics Nebraska. I actually noticed some of the pictures there on the table. Really fun to look at while you're eating and getting to know one another at the table.
I would now like to introduce Garrett Stipke to come and give the invocation.
How's it going? All right, let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity as we come together for the Champions Together Luncheon. Bless everyone who came out today to learn more about Special Olympics, and may the food be blessed as well, and help guide us for a better tomorrow. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Garrett. Now you can please enjoy your lunch.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please continue to eat while I chat with you this afternoon. I'm Carolyn Chamberlain. I'm the president and CEO of Special Olympics Nebraska, and I personally would like to welcome you to our Champions Together Luncheon. This is an annual event that I hope leaves you inspired and wanting to learn more about the work of Special Olympics Nebraska. Today, you're going to hear a lot about medal moments, and I'm going to share with you one of mine. So I was about 13 years old, playing on a traveling softball team in Simi Valley, California, which is where I grew up. I was hands down the smallest person on the team and had acquired the nickname Pipsqueak. So we were playing our final game, and if we won that game, we were going to go to a big tournament in San Diego. As you can imagine, the game was tied, 2 outs, runner on second, and I end up at the plate. I was scared to death. 2 pitches and 2 strikes down, I stepped out of the batter's box and I faked like I had something in my eye because I just was so nervous. So my coach came up to me and said, is everything okay? And I said, I'm scared to death. I don't want to lose the game. And he gave me some encouraging words and I got back in the box. Next pitch, I hit the ball and I ran like I have never run before. I was looking at my first base coach, and he was not looking at me because he was looking over at third base because that coach was waving the runner around. So it was then that I looked up and saw I had actually hit a line drive between right and center. And the outfielder got the ball, threw it home, but didn't get the runner out, and we won the game. Yes, we actually won the game. I couldn't believe it. I did it. And my teammates ran out, picked me up on the field, and we celebrated that night. And I never felt so proud. I actually overcame my fear and did my best anyway. And that is a medal moment that I still think of today. At Special Olympics Nebraska, we transform the lives of 5,000 people with intellectual disabilities through 3 areas of work: sports, health, and education. And we provide hundreds, if not thousands, of medal moments for our athletes. In the last year, I am so proud of the athletes who represented Nebraska at the World Games in Los Angeles. I hope you were able to catch some of the coverage on ESPN. And in addition, we added a new screening at our summer games, a podiatry screening for our athletes. And for the first time in the history of our program in Nebraska, we had one of our athletes, named Jason Gishin from Ogallala, selected to be a Sergeant Shriver International Global Messenger. He is one of only 11 athletes across the globe who will travel internationally speaking on behalf of his peers and promoting the power of Special Olympics. So as I reflect on some of our successes, I also know that there are still thousands of individuals with intellectual disabilities who still live in the shadows with little activity that gives them pride and confidence. Many still lack access to health care, and they face challenges in the workplace and the classroom. Don't we all just want to feel like we belong? Feel that self-worth, that dignity, to feel like part of a community. This can start to happen for our athletes in a couple ways. We need to increase our athlete base and grow our unified programs in at least 50 schools this next year. Project Unified programs on campuses will start a culture shift and will create an environment where every student can feel like he or she belongs. We need to develop more relationships with healthcare providers so every community along the interstate can offer health screenings and education to our athletes to improve the health of their lives. And lastly, we need to expand our reach past Omaha and Lincoln for both mentors and supporters who can help give our athletes in the middle part of our state and the western part of our state the chance to learn their strengths, their talents, and give them a chance to be a voice, the chance to tell their stories with confidence and pride, and the chance to be an advocate and a leader among their peers. We would not be able to accomplish any of our goals or have any plans for future expansion without your support. Members of the Champions Together Giving Society have committed to 5 years of donations, and we can't thank you enough for that generous level of support. It is this type of commitment that allows us to be able to expand and add Lincoln for the first time to our athlete leadership training. Now we have a pool of even more athletes who can share their story, and with power and confidence. And some of those athletes are here today. So I invite each of you to join me today in making a difference in the life of a person with intellectual disabilities, and I ask you to be part of creating dignity and self-assurance. So now, I would like for you to hear our story through the words of our athletes.
One of my most memorable mental experiences when we went unified in basketball. We got the gold medal, which I thought it was pretty fun. By practicing every day, and it made us a better team to win a national championship. My mom has been a big influence on me. She's always been there for me if I've ever needed help. She's always come watch the games that I compete in.
Oh, my favorite memory of Connie being in Special Olympics was her playing basketball. All these people are yelling, "Go Connie, go Connie." She's flying all over the place. If I was to talk to another parent and they wanted to learn about Special Olympics, I would tell them to go as far as you can with it. It's a real confidence builder, which I think is probably the best thing for them. They get to be somebody. They get with their peers, and they're equal to everyone else, and it doesn't matter who you are.
Special Olympics has helped my confidence at work by making sure I do things right. And then I have my younger sister, April. She's been a big part of my life.
Good job.
My sister April and I are roommates, and then we ended up being teammates, which we played basketball, flag football together, which was a new experience for her. You know, just getting her involved in Special Olympics has kind of made an impact on my life.
Come on. Good job. 4. Breathe in, April.
Special Olympics is a very good organization. People benefit from it so much. And even if you don't have a Special Olympic person, you should probably at least come and watch. It's just so exciting to see the smile on their faces. They may not make it to the finish line. They may have stopped and waved and didn't get there, but they have had a good time.
People in this town really took me in as their family. I do anything for people. I care about them, and I wouldn't stop for nothing.
Not only am I John's coach, but I'm also his supervisor here at Kearney County Health Services. There's a lot of changes I've noticed in John. He's become a lot more disciplined from the very first time that I met him.
My goals are to become a better leader, to make World Games, and support the athletes by helping them learn what sportsmanship's all about. I compete in flag football, basketball, bocce ball, unified bowling, and track.
The Healthy Athletes program that Special Olympics offers at our state games is very beneficial to our athletes. The healthy smiles, the healthy eyes, all those items have been real beneficial to our team. They get checkups that they normally probably wouldn't get.
Since I started the Healthy Habits program, I've lost about 52 pounds. I grew as a person, and I've become a better leader by getting into the athletes program.
I want the community to see that our athletes are just like us. I want everybody to see that they have dreams just like us. They have things that they want to do and accomplish in life. Our athletes are no different than you or me.
For families that have a child with an intellectual disability, I would say it's going to be okay. It all shakes out. Every child will achieve what they're going to achieve on their own timeline, in their own way. You just have to be patient and give them every opportunity that you would give any other child.
Brady's 7 years old. He's got a ton of energy. He is Mr. Activity.
He's wild and curious and adventurous, and he has the biggest heart of anybody I've ever known. Special Olympics Nebraska is absolutely a place for your child. They can compete, they can win or lose, they can absolutely develop the pride in themselves and have ownership over their victory, their practice, their whole process.
Special Olympics athletes can start at the age of 8. Prior to that, they can join the Young Athletes program. Kids that are, pre-Special Olympics can come and participate. So here locally for us, that is PT students from the universities. They volunteer and put on basically like little activity clinics that happen on the weekends.
PT students are really wonderful. They help gross motor skills and just coordination. All those foundational skills helps him be physical, it helps him be in a group.
We built this network because of the Special Olympics Young Athletes program. And we have friends to this day that are the same folks that from our little class of families, and our kids are all growing up, and soon next year will be the year that they all get to actually become official athletes. Get involved, get your kids out there and exposed to as much as possible. Be at the Special Olympics Young Athletes program, any sort of activity. You could volunteer at an event. Once you meet all of these other families and these families of older kids, you start seeing like, you know what? That's a pretty good place that we're gonna land. That's okay, we're doing all right here.
Hi, I'm Jeff Shannon, and I remember the day that Special Olympics Nebraska entered my life like it was yesterday. It was about 7 years ago, and my wife Jen had given birth to our son Brady that you just met, and we had gotten the shocking news that Brady was born with Down syndrome, and naturally we were scared about his health and what his future would be because we didn't really know anything about Down syndrome. We were in the recovery room, and the lights were out, and I can hear my wife crying to herself, and I want to say something to her. It's going to make her feel better. And so, like any guy, I just blurted out the first thing that came to mind. I said, well, at least we've got the Special Olympics. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I thought it was just a track meet. It's not. It's more than that. But the idea was powerful enough for her to wipe her eyes and smile for the first time since we heard the news. Recently, Brady, who's a young athlete, as I mentioned there, was invited to run an exhibition 50-meter dash at this year's Summer Games. And like any good dad, I had scouted the competition. Unfortunately for Brady, he was going to be going up against a couple much bigger and faster boys. And Brady's got a couple of bad habits that may not make him the best sprinter. The first being that he likes to watch his own shadow when he runs, which makes it hard to run in a straight line when you're kind of running in a half circle. And then second, he's working on his sportsmanship, which means if he's not 100% certain he's going to win, he will pull up and just quit altogether. So we're down on the starting line, and I'm coaching him up like I should be and saying, hey, Brady, you got to run all the way down to Mom and make sure you stay between the lines, and whatever you do, just keep running. And at some point, he had clearly had enough from his dad. He pushes me away and says, I do it, Bubba. And boy, did he. The gun fires, and he takes off like a bolt of lightning. And his feet are moving faster than I have ever seen, and his arms are swinging with pure determination. He didn't win the race, but he did finish. And his mama tells me that when he crossed that finish line, he had the biggest, proudest smile you have ever seen in your entire life. And if it weren't for the Special Olympics Nebraska, Brady and 5,000 other athletes just like him would never get to have that life-shaping experience. Even more recently, I was getting dressed. It was we had a board meeting for Special Olympics, so I was putting on my polo shirt, and Brady comes running into our bedroom and stops. Kind of a Tasmanian devilish, right? He comes in and he just stops, and he points up at the logo on my shirt, where the Special Olympics logo is, and he just looks at me and goes, "That's me." And this was a defining moment for me as a father and as a board member of Special Olympics, because here's a 7-year-old boy with a cognitive delay who gets it. He understands that Special Olympics Nebraska is a movement for inclusion and acceptance of people of all abilities. I looked down at him with a tear in my eye, and it's kind of, yeah, that's right. It is you. And it's me. And I just want to take this chance and just say I'm just so incredibly proud to be part of the Special Olympics Nebraska and so grateful for what they've done for my family. Thanks so much.
How are you guys today? Well, hello and welcome to the Special Olympics Champions Together Luncheon. I'd like to thank you all for coming. And my name is Garrett Stipke, as mentioned earlier, and I am a Special Olympics Nebraska athlete. And I'd like to share how Special Olympics Nebraska has impacted my life. If you would have told me 6 years ago that confidence would be second on my top 3 list of strengths, I would have laughed. Because I don't come from a confident background. Growing up with a brother who was an aspiring comic, he used me as the focus of his jokes. He made jokes about my athletic abilities, my intelligence, my looks, etc., which created deep insecurities about all my abilities. And because I didn't feel confident, I isolated myself from my peers out of fears and self-consciousness. School was very hard. I really wanted nothing to do with the social aspect, and I felt like I didn't fit in. During my sophomore year of high school, I was introduced to Special Olympics, and to this day is the best thing I have ever done. My teacher, Mrs. Schweers, suggested that I get involved in Special Olympics. At the time, she was the Special Olympics 3-on-3 head coach. At my first practice, I realized this is the group for me. Everybody was accepted, regardless of their ability or skill level. Other classmates at the high school could watch us practice from above the gym. I remember them cheering and calling my name. This experience with Special Olympics gave me confidence to join other clubs at the school. I even joined a ballroom dance club. My budding confidence really bloomed last year when I was able to compete in the 2014 Special Olympics USA Games. We were boarding the planes and butterflies hit my stomach. I kept thinking, this is actually happening. We ended up playing a few divisioning games and multiple qualifying games, and we made it into the finals. Despite an ankle injury, I played in the finals, and we ended up taking silver. But it was silver in the top division, which to me is pretty incredible. Now at this time, each of you has a Special Olympics medal at your place setting. Please place this medal around your neck. Your support has provided me with so many medal moments, and I want you guys to have the same feeling. My time thus far as a Special Olympics athlete has driven me to eventually use my strengths of confidence, presence, and future thinker to help coach one of the sports that I love to play, such as softball, basketball, and flag football. In my opinion, when you try to compare the level of sportsmanship of competitive sports to Special Olympic sports, there is no comparison. Because I have found a home in Special Olympics where I never did in a high school gym class. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you for all you do for Special Olympics Nebraska athletes.
Thank you, Jeff and Garrett, for your very inspiring stories. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Walls. I'm the president and CEO of Farmers Mutual Insurance Company of Nebraska, and I've been a Special Olympics Nebraska board member for about 2.5 years. I also consider myself an ambassador for this amazing movement for people with intellectual disabilities. While I've been a board member for just 2.5 years, my involvement with Special Olympics really began about 25 years ago when I met Brad Boslow. And Brad is here. Brad, could you raise your hand? for us? There's Brad. Brad is a Special Olympics Nebraska athlete, and he is the son of Byron and Olinda Boslow. Byron preceded me as CEO of Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, and it's really been during my 25-year career with the company that I've gotten to know Brad personally and see firsthand the incredible impact that this organization has on the lives of the athletes as well as the families that they serve. While I've had personally numerous impactful experiences with Special Olympics over the years, I think for me, the mountaintop experience happened during the Special Olympics National Games that were held here in Lincoln in 2010. I did what I'm sure many of you in this room did, and that is I volunteered to help out with the 2010 National Games. More specifically, I volunteered to help at the swimming venue, as I've been involved with competitive swimming all my life. My volunteer experience was absolutely wonderful, as I got to interact directly with the athletes in the staging area where we got them into the right heat in the right lane for their event. I was genuinely entertained by the energy, the enthusiasm that these athletes had as they waited for their events. I saw everything from trash talking to team cheers, from very nervous swimmers to very confident swimmers, just like what I've experienced in my own competitive swimming competitions. What was unique, however, was the amount of joy, excitement, and tremendous sense of accomplishment that I witnessed from nearly every single athlete as they came out of that water. Whether they finished in first place or last place, the reaction was almost always the same. A smiling face, a willing hug, a high five, and a basking in the applause and the encouragement from the adoring crowd. It was literally priceless. However, the transformative impact of this experience really did not hit me until I began reflecting upon it a few days later. It was then that the reality came clearly into view for me. I went into this thinking that I was going to help these special athletes by giving of myself to them. I learned in actuality what happened is that these athletes helped me by giving of themselves to me. I learned more about kindness, joy, determination, and unconditional love during the 2 days that I volunteered at the swimming venue than I'd ever experienced before in my life. The reality is that these athletes gave me a very needed perspective on life, and I stand before you today forever changed by this experience. Today you've heard the full Special Olympics Nebraska story and met some of the wonderful people that we serve. It's now my privilege to ask you to make a financial investment in our organization to support the work that we do in the lives of people with intellectual disabilities. To build a stronger foundation for expanding our programs and to provide a stable future for Special Olympics Nebraska, we have created our Champions Together Society. If you've been inspired by what you've seen and heard today, I would ask that you consider joining me in this society this afternoon. Some of you that are here today attended this event last year and pledged your support. We want to sincerely thank you for that support. Today, we would ask you to consider either, one, adding a year or more to your previous multi-year pledge, two, paying off your previous pledge early, or three, increasing the amount of your pledge. As I go through our Champions Together Society, please note that there is a special section at the bottom of the pledge card, especially for those of you that gave last year. I will explain more after the table hosts have distributed the pledge cards, which I will now ask them to do. Thank you. Now I'd like to walk you through your pledge card. Starting at the top of the card, the Champions Together pledge level names are meant to give you a sense of what your contribution can do. Your contribution will go toward the unrestricted operating funds of Special Olympics Nebraska. The first giving level, our Support an Athlete level, is a pledge of $1,000 each year for 5 years, which is approximately $83 per month. A gift of this amount will allow us to provide opportunities for training, competition, and expand and improve upon our education and health programs for one new athlete, like Garrett, for each of the next 5 years. The next giving level, our Empower a Team level, is a pledge of $10,000 a year for 5 years. A gift of this amount will allow us to support a whole team of athletes for each of the next 5 years, giving them even more opportunities for training, travel, and competition throughout the year, as well as access to more education and health programming. The last level, our Transform a Community level, is a pledge of $25,000 a year for 5 years. A gift of this amount will allow us to transform our entire community by reaching all people with intellectual disabilities in the state of Nebraska. We would be able to expand our education programs to even more schools across the state and offer activities and sports programs that promote inclusiveness and acceptance. If you're joining me today as a member of the Champions Together Society, I want to express my personal thank you for your generous support. Multi-year gifts are so important to us because they guarantee the future of our programs for our athletes, and they help us reach even more people with intellectual disabilities in our state. Although I started by introducing our Champions Together Society, we know and respect that you may prefer to give it a different level. And so we provide the next line for you. On this line, please tell us how much you would like to give and for how many years. We truly appreciate whatever level of support you can provide, and we ask that you make your first payment today. Perhaps you would like to consider a gift of stock or something else, or you simply have some great ideas for us. If so, please check the next box that says, "Please contact me. I have other thoughts to share." As you are filling out your card, please know that whatever you give, including the gift of your time, we sincerely appreciate it on behalf of the athletes and the families that we serve. When you're finished, please pass your envelopes back to your table captain. Now I'd like to turn the program back over to John and Taryn Vandervoort to wrap up. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. We don't have much more to say other than thank you. And I know, Taryn, I was inspired by what I heard here today. And every time that I get a chance to come to an event like this, I always come away more inspired and more excited to support a group like this. So thank you for joining us today and becoming a champion for Special Olympics Nebraska.
Yeah, we hope that you leave inspired. So have a great day, everyone.